And it's just this face, because the top face of that hill is going to have another game to play. The hill comes down, flattens off, and comes down again. You with me?
And when it's flat, it's light. Is that right?
Right, exactly. It's reflecting some sky. So this may be all this pretty much the same color, that flattened area. It may all be pretty much the same. But over here is my opportunity to change. So I'm going to start here and start to figure out what it is I'm going to do. And I'm not going to come across here much. I'm just going to see if that works to help so I don't lose my lines. I'll say, well, let's see. As I'm going back, it makes sense to add yellow. So I'm going to change and lighten as I go back, and I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. So I'm going to lighten it off a little bit. I didn't add much yellow. I'll lighten it off some more. And I'd probably put some burnt sienna in there to get it toward the red, but not make it red.
Andy, the values, the orange and then that kind of ochre that you've got up on the hill are basically the same value. So when you come in with that straight, flat area there, that's going to distinguish
Right.
those two. That's going to bring those two areas
Well,
into.
at about this point, they'll all be the same.
What?
But up until then,
Oh,
this one's
good.
coming
Oh,
forward
good. I
and this
thought you
one
were
stays back.
taking pictures.
So this is letting me, and you can see just that little shift.
In
I'm
color.
already changing and
Right,
playing.
okay.
We're going from a redder color to
Okay.
a yellower color, and it's lighter and grayer as it goes back. And just to make sure that I'm playing the game right, I'll do a little touch of purer color up at this side.
That's that pretty color.
And my brush is dirty, so I'll scrape it off.
Metallic stuff.
And the advantage of doing something like this is I'm already building up too much paint for most of you. So I'll scrape it off. The color stays. I haven't changed any of the color. I've just taken the paint off the surface. Put it down. I'll get a little more burnt sienna into this flesh. And as we come forward, I want to make sure that I'm changing that value a little bit. It's getting a little purer and a little purer again. And again, I'm not sure where this is going to end. All I know is that this is the hill. It's going to flatten off about there. So I'm still pointing dangerously to that corner. So I'm going to try to turn it this way a little bit.
You don't want it right at the corner?
I don't want it right at the corner.
Why?
It just...
Too predictable or something?
Yeah, one of the things that we looked at when Jenna put that painting, that stream painting in her frame, one of the things I really looked for was where those angles came right into the corner. There was a real danger that that stream would come right into the corner, and it didn't. It was off by about an inch, so that was fine.
Oh, okay.
So look what's happened. I've lightened up sufficiently. I've gone from pure to light. There's more of a red influence here. There's more of a yellow influence here. I've still kept this field to be light up at the top. I haven't addressed this at all, and I've decided already that this bank is going to come this way a little bit so that I have a bigger slope. And that means that this can open up more. So I can get down that. So I'm making these little tiny adjustments on the fly. So as this is opening up, this is going to straighten out, and I'm going to come back and reinstate some of those lines so that I can kind of see what's happening with this, even though I haven't addressed this at all. And I'm sort of beginning to address the angle, the brush stroke and the angle for what's happening down this slope. So this angle is going to change from vertical to flat. So I'm just going to scrub that in so you get that slope. So I'm still addressing the lines, but I'm losing the lines at the same time. And then this becomes the next big area. So this is going to be a little subtle shift across here. That'll be a flat light. And I'll just take a little bit of stuff and just take what's here. And I'm going to reflect the sky a little bit, so I'm going to put a little bit of blue into it, but not enough to make it green. And I'll just come back across and tell us that we're reflecting the sky there. And in order to make that sink home, I'm going to put a little bit in the roof too, just as a help that we're going to come across that. And I'm going to leave all of this alone. So I've gotten my first coat of paint down. I've described what's happening. I haven't put in the sky. I haven't done anything definite, but I've got all the good armature for how to continue the painting without anything in there. But I've just sort of let color start to reinforce those lines that I put in. Does that make sense? I'll then take my knife, I'll clean it off, and I'll scrub off the paint. With everything that I put down there, even those scrub lines are still there, I just have less paint now, and I can put a second coat on without worrying about mixing or getting color references or anything like that. And I'll just put down a second coat and then a third coat today. And that should happen, I should be able to get 3 coats down in about 45 minutes.
So by thinning it, it allows you to go on and get to the second coat faster?
Yeah.
Okay.
So will you do that in class today?
If
Go
you
to
want, I'd rather go
level
around and
2?
teach you, but if you'd rather me do this, I'll be glad to.
Well, will you go on and finish it, like whatever's over there on the right before you
I am
call it
going
a
to leave
deal?
whatever is on the right alone until I have
You're
no
not sure what you're
idea
gonna
what's
do.
going to happen
Okay.
there
And is that your throwaway area?
yet. Well, you know, Bernard, I'm just
What's
not
the
sure.
throwaway area?
We're shooting down here awfully fast, and I've got a feeling that what I have to do is open this up even more
Is that his road?
so that
I
it
thought
may-
that was a
it slows us
stream,
down a
because you
little
know how
bit.
water's dark.
See how that slowed us down? So what, in the process of having all of this, the real interest then becomes this far bank. And I may have to lose that and take it off the side. So I'm not going to address this until I figure out how fast we're going back.
So are you going to even put the road in?
There's a road there?
It's a stream. I don't,
It's a gravel
I'm not
road.
gonna put it in.
No, you're not? Oh, okay.
I've got the water. What I needed was, there's a vehicle that gets us back, and the vehicle is the road. The road is
yeah.
just too perfect a shape. It's like a perfect parabola.
so we don't like perfect.
Perfect is tough. My wife is the only perfect person I know. And now that you've met her, you know that I'm not BSing. So
Got
this,
that on
you can
tape.
see that's just too perfect. So what I've done is I've replaced the road with a stream. And that's the vehicle that gets us back.
And that's your gully too.
And that'll be my gully, yeah. So the water runs in the gully, and that's the form. And this is the anatomy of a painting. It's not the finished piece. No one will understand it. I'd much rather see this join back here and flatten off. I can put water in the gully or not. I can put fence lines in or not. But you can see that the land is scaped. It has interest, it's got undulation, it's got form, and whether I put the things in, the fences or the trees or the fishermen or the sheep or the cows, now I know where to put them. I know they'll fit, they'll be sized, they'll have context, they'll have position and place. So what I've really done is created the diorama that lets me work on top of it.
If you were going to put some sheep in there, would they probably go on the flat part?
Yeah.
'Cause
And they're
they're
in the
sheep.
picture, so there's something in cows, I think.
Oh, right. they
So
are on the
if
flat
I were
part.
going to put something in there, I'd put them wherever God found them. So I'll put them there. I'm not going to move them too much. I could let the sheep be the things that let me go back, so I could have them wandering up and down on the slope of this grass, so that you could put a cow here, drinking water, another cow here, getting smaller and smaller as they go back. It doesn't really matter once you've got your land down. You can do it. You can put cars. You can have old junkers back there. You can have bathtubs. Anything, because you know where to sit their bottoms. You know where they sit, where their feet would be, how to position them. And this is. I don't know that you can do this, but I'd like you to try. I'd like you to try to get a feel for this depth of field. I'll be glad to help you. So rather than me doing this, let me help you get at least this far.
Do you want us to start a new one to
I'd
do
like
that?
you to.
Okay.
Because it's easier to work and draw on a canvas that doesn't have anything on it than it is to try to
Okay.
do that on a blank canvas. And if you want to do this next week and come in with a blank canvas next week, let's go ahead and do that. So that
Okay.
this week we can finish up what we're doing, but I'd like you to try this once. And that means that like a piece like Becky's, where we're jumping right to the subject across the stream, that's not a good candidate for a grid painting. Because we just have to jump right across the water to the subject, and there's no depth of field there. It's just boom.
What about like what I was doing last week where I have just the